Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And we're going to tell you some Patreon bonus stories here.
Yeah.
All right, so we were talking about Zoox before. It's this startup company that's been kind of in stealth mode. And what's exciting to me about this company, it's worth about $800 million right now. They are inventing from the bottom up EV autonomous cars.
Yeah. And they're not starting from like a electric car, a car with a steering wheel or anything like that.
Right, they're not doing like the Chevy Bolt cruise automation thing.
They're building their cars.
Yeah, I mean, check this out. We're going to show you some footage here from Bloomberg. This is Ashley Vance. He's a really good reporter. He's done the biography of Elon Musk. And I think they were pretty smart. They didn't let just anyone interview them. They knew this guy gets technology.
Right.
So they let him in. This is the first time anyone's really seen much reporting on Zoox. And so as you're seeing here, these are the cars. These cars, keep this in mind, you see a steering wheel, but it's not being used right now for this test. So on the Alameda airfield, they set out some cones, and these cars are going, in this video, 45 miles an hour, and watch them just swerve in and out of the cones. That's all automated.
Right. They have crab steering.
Yeah, crab steering means that the front and rear wheels can move independently. So you can turn the front wheels on a normal car, and that's, you do circles and stuff. Crab steering means that the car can move sideways.
Right, because the back wheels can turn. It means you can get tighter turn radiuses. I think this is really smart.
This is incredible.
If you're going to make fully autonomous vehicles, they're going to be driving all the time.
Right.
So, which means that any expense you put into them is going to get recouped because it's an autonomous car. It's going to be driving all the time.
Think about parking with a crab-steered car.
Right. Think about lane changes. Think about all of the different maneuvers that you couldn't do, and now you could do with crab steering. Now, it's not the only car in the world that has crab steering, but how smart to put it into your autonomous vehicle.
Not only that, their vision for these cars is to have 4 seats, 2 of them facing each other. So basically, you get into a car and you can actually face the people that you're going to be in the car with.
So far, all of these cars that we've seen, Waymo using, they're just using minivans.
Right.
So you're just sort of like it's a normal car, except with a ghost driver.
Now, here's the exciting part for me. In this test, they take Ashley Vance for a drive from their headquarters to their other new headquarters, which means they're crossing San Francisco area, city driving, getting onto the highway, getting back off the highway, all autonomously.
It's really exciting.
And that means that if they were willing to do this test with a reporter in the car, they knew they could do it. It wasn't like, oh, it just works on a sunny day. If you watch, when this car gets onto the highway, it has problems that you and I would have. They're trying to get on the highway. No one's letting them in. Car tries to speed up to pass a car. Can't do it. Back, and it has to slow down. And handled it. It did it like a human would do it.
Right.
Pretty amazing.
Yep.
They are using LiDAR, but they're combining their LiDAR with their visual and their radar into kind of one seamless thing. And so as you're seeing here, these boxes around everything are giving it, what is that? What do I think it is? What's my percentage? Like, I'm just really excited that there's another car company out there that gets it. They're not doing the, you don't get excited when you hear about a company like Daimler who are just using their, Mercedes cars, gas cars, and they're just sticking some sensors on them.
Right.
This company's starting from the bottom.
I'm really excited.
I'm really excited. I think a lot of people are saying, well, they're competing with, Waymo and all these companies, and they can't possibly beat them. I thought it was interesting in this Bloomberg article that when they said what their competition was, Cruise, Waymo, and so forth, they did not mention Tesla. Big mistake, folks. Do not count Tesla out of the autonomous driving because they're the number 1 car that can do this because they have the miles, they have the data.
Right. All right. So this was sent to us by our friend Ruben from the newsroom. Just thought that we had to show it to you. It's not EV. It's not particularly sustainable.
It uses jet fuel. But we all grew up, my generation, thinking we were going to get damn jetpacks, and we never got them. Now we got them at least.
Yes.
And this thing is not just one of those big old-fashioned 50s jetpacks where you take off for a second and then you land. This thing is going over 60 miles an hour. And it says that it can fly right now for 6 minutes, predicted being able to fly for 30 minutes and 140 miles an hour as they work out the technology.
Right. This thing already weighs 20 kilograms.
Plus fuel.
So you're wearing a kerosene backpack.
It's not that dangerous.
And then you're flying in the air with literally nothing around you.
But it's quiet. You're like the birds up there.
110 to 115 decibels.
Do you know how loud that is?
Really
That's
loud.
rock concert loud. That's like jet engine loud.
It has 4 of them, so I would imagine so. I don't know.
Still.
It's cool.
Still cool.
It's proof that we are in the future. We
Yes.
finally have frickin' made it, and it's time to look towards more and more positive things. Now that we have jetpacks, let's be happy and
Let's have electric jetpacks.
figure out some other stuff.
All right, so Marquise Brownlee, we're a little jealous. You get to go drifting in the Model 3 Performance. Check this out. He's in the Model 3 Performance version, and it goes 0 to 60 in 3.5. It's about $6,000 cheaper than we thought it was going to be.
Right.
And get this, it has a new track mode. It's a new secret button that Elon came up with. What does that let you do?
So usually when you're driving a Tesla, it's very planted. It won't do any kind of scary things where the wheels will spin faster than they're moving across the ground.
But I guess lots of people like to do that.
A lot of people like to do that in racing when they take their cars to the track or if they want to act like a hooligan. And so the performance mode has a track mode, which allows basically for drifting, oversteer, understeer.
Wow.
So you can throw the car around a little bit more.
And Marquise had a great time.
Yeah. This also looks like it was at the Alameda.
I wish
driving
that
range.
was down the street from
I
our
know.
house.
It's-
Wouldn't that be
They
great?
use it all the time for everything. Mythbusters used it like
I know.
every other week.
Well, now that Mythbusters isn't around using it, that's
I know.
probably why they can have free reign. All right, so we want to talk about Elon's mini sub. We all reported on this before about how Elon worked so hard to come up with this mini sub idea, and his engineers did, to help those kids in Thailand get out of that cave. Now, it wasn't used to get them out of the cave, but he did deliver it to them in case they needed it. And what's been going on is there's been this back and forth kind of Twitter war with Vern Unsworth, who was a cave explorer who's in Chiang Rai in Thailand, and who started basically accusing Elon that this was some kind of publicity stunt. So I kind of want to take it from the beginning here because I'm pretty upset about what's been going on with everyone attacking him, and I know that everyone was down on Elon for calling this guy a pedo. So I just want to kind of fill you in on what happened so that you can get the full kind of picture.
The whole context here, because we have really just been hearing just one tweet.
Right.
It's just been the pedo guy tweet, and that's all we've been getting.
Which Elon has deleted and has apologized for, by the way. So I want to remind everyone that Elon was constantly tweeting out positive things to the entire team. It wasn't like this guy has an ego and he's like, I'm so great, I'm going to come solve the problem. Here's a tweet. Extremely talented dive team. Makes sense given monsoon. Godspeed. That was him saying, go in there and save those kids. Don't wait for me to arrive. Like, totally makes sense that you should go in and get them now.
Right.
Doesn't sound like an egotistical person to me.
Right.
As Dave Temkin said, the hatred being spewed about Elon Musk is ridiculous. Any engineer always needs a backup plan. He tried to help in the best way he knew how, and I commend him mightily for it. Elon responded, this reaction has shaken my opinion of many people. We were asked to create a backup option and worked hard to do so. Checked with dive team many times to confirm it was worthwhile. Now it's there for anyone who needs it in the future. Something's messed up if this is not a good thing. So then, after the kids were rescued, Vern Unsworth, who's a retired British expatriate who's living in Chiang Rai, he came out and basically ripped Elon apart for having sent this. And we're just going to play a little bit of what he said.
What your thoughts on Elon Musk's idea was?
And stick his submarine where it hurts. Just had absolutely no chance of working. He had no conception of what the cave passage was like. The submarine, I believe, was about 5'6" long, rigid, so it wouldn't have gone round corners or round any obstacles. It wouldn't have made the first 50 meters into the cave from the dive start point. Just a PR stunt.
But he went into the cave on Tuesday.
So, I mean, that seems very mean-spirited.
He didn't have, when the reporter was like, so why? And he was just like, that's someone who doesn't have any kind of reasoning.
And why would you even say that about his sub? I mean, let's say they needed it. What if one of the kids didn't know how to swim? And what if they needed to use that to get him out? Plus, don't forget, here Vern says that it was a solid 5.5 foot long thing and it couldn't possibly have turned through things.
Right.
First part, Vern was not a diver. He was a cave explorer and had been in the cave before. The lead diver, the diver who actually got to the kids, is the one who told Elon what he needed.
Right.
Elon built it to those specs.
Right.
Second of all, Elon built a second mini sub that was flexible,
Right.
so that you could actually bend it around corners in case that was what they needed.
Right.
Where's the hatred coming from? Like, what?
So many people want to paint this off as Elon being an egotistical maniac, thinking that he can solve all the world's problems or whatever. He didn't go into it being like, don't do anything, I'm coming with my magic solution, right? There was none of that. He was like, he just tried to work hard to make sure that what he came with would be useful and, if needed, would be ready.
And keep this in mind, after he delivered the sub to the Thai Navy says they want to keep the sub. Yeah, so here's a photo of the Thai Navy looking at the mini sub, and basically here's a quote from a translator. SpaceX team met with Admiral Apkom Yukongpao and members of the Thai Navy yesterday in CEI to train them on the new mini submarine. Navy believes it could be helpful and practical in future rescue efforts and will conduct further testing in Bangkok in the near future. So the Thai Navy thinks it's valuable.
Right.
And let's get to what Elon actually said so that you can put it in context. Does this sound like a raving lunatic egotist to you? Mm-hmm. Never saw this British expat guy who lives in Thailand at any point when we were in the caves. Only people in sight were the Thai Navy and Army guys, who were great. Thai Navy SEALs escorted us in, total opposite of wanting us to leave. Water level was actually very low and still not flowing. You could literally have swum to Cave 5 with no gear, which is obviously how the kids got in. If not true, then I challenge this dude to show final rescue video. Huge credit to pump and generator team, unsung heroes here. You know what? Don't bother showing the video. We will make one of the mini sub pod going all the way to Cave 5, no problemo. Sorry, pedo guy, you really did ask for it.
So, I mean, he's mad because this guy told him to take the sub and shove it up his, well, yeah, which is uncalled for,
right,
in this, especially in this situation.
Right.
I mean,
and it's a team effort. I want to remind everyone that when the Chilean miners in 2010 were stuck, it was NASA engineers that helped design a capsule that helped get them out.
Right. It was a capsule that rescued them.
Right. And this was a team effort. People from around the world helped out. This is what you want in something like this. You want the world working together.
Right. To just view this as Elon Musk going for a publicity stunt, it's really not the same thing as, I don't know, if this were a publicity stunt, what would it look like?
Right. Wouldn't there be balloons and fanfare and you know, him with video cameras getting off of planes with, you know, there's none of that. You don't see any video of him in the cave. Why? Because he didn't want you to see him in the cave. He wanted to save the kids.
Right.
I mean, he would have been tweeting differently if he wanted to be a PR stunt. He was showing you what he was working on, not as a way to PR himself. How does that help SpaceX? Like,
right.
No, that's not what he was doing.
And here's the thing. He was mad. He was so mad at this guy. And, I mean, I would be too. I mean, maybe I wouldn't have called him a pedo. I probably would have called him a I would have called him
those things you can't say on the show, Jesse.
Whatever. But those things wouldn't have warranted he wouldn't have been liable for, you know?
Right.
He just said it out of anger. He could have said something different and it would have been completely different.
Right.
Everyone, again, misquotes this guy as being one of the divers.
Right.
He did not go in and rescue any of the kids.
No.
He was one of the first people there and he did help to get some of the divers there.
Right.
But then the divers were like, oh, a mini sub? Hey, that could be pretty helpful because we're going to need to...
You want options.
Right. They had to administer drugs to the kids to calm them down so that way they could get them through the cave system.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't it be nicer if you could, maybe you still have to give them the drugs, but then put them in a capsule so you know that they won't just freak out at some point during the trip.
Right.
Again, it's, it wasn't there on time and they ended up not needing it, but to call it a PR stunt, I mean, what if the rains had continued and the water level had risen and they needed it?
Right.
And what, you would have rather that it wasn't there?
Right.
People got upset that Elon called this guy a pedo.
And, I just want to come at where he's coming with this word. Not to say that anyone should accuse anyone of that unless you have proof. But this place in Thailand is known for its child prostitution. I mean, that's just a fact. And so I think what caused him to think of that word was that many people go to this place for that reason.
Right.
So
that's not where you go for retirement for that. Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I think that's what he was coming with.
That was at least what was in his head at the time. And if you're mad, that's what you're going to post, I guess. All right, so check out some of DARPA's new vehicle technology.
Oh, what is DARPA again? Defense Against the Dark Arts?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, you can see some of this new technology here.
That doesn't look new at all. This looks like that 1980s movie with Bill Murray, Stripes, where they get into the urban assault vehicle.
Well, no, this is different. Basically, this is augmented reality, so the driver, they can get additional information about the vehicle outside.
No, Jesse, that was part of the EM50 back in the 1980s. We've had this technology for a long time. Look at they're shooting the guard there.
Okay, I don't think that this is the same thing. I don't know why. Okay, you know what? They shouldn't have used a camper van. That was a mistake.
It doesn't look very military.
It doesn't
But
look-
I see what you're saying. It doesn't
Right.
matter what van they're in.
Right.
You're using augmentation, and that's really cool.
Right.
What else we got here?
So there's also Orca, which is off-road crew augmentation. So it's basically AR, or augmented reality. It helps to find a road where there isn't one, and
That's cool.
this is interesting because it will also allow for autonomy off-road.
Oh, wow.
Now, this, I think, can be directly applied to poor road conditions in autonomy.
Yeah.
So whatever the military develops for off-road technology can probably be ported over into autonomy for driving on crappy roads.
Yeah. And then what's this one here? 360-degree VR?
Yeah, so basically you can see all around the car without seeing
Wait a
out of
minute.
the
He's
cockpit.
not looking out the windshield?
No, those are screens.
That's so cool. So basically, in theory, you could drive this car without being in the car. You could drone drive it.
True. Yes.
Wow.
Look at this electric in-hub motor by Kinetics. And this shows that the military is thinking about switching to electric motors for their combat fighting
Well,
vehicles.
think about that. You take the motor out of the vehicle, you open up more space in the vehicle, and then if any of these motors fails, you can probably limp back to base, or maybe not even limp, with what you've got in the other wheels.
Right. So all the gearbox and everything is all in the wheels. You get better acceleration, all of the things that you get with EVs. Also, just think about it. You don't have to have all these supply lines, these convoys of oil and petroleum products.
Right.
You can just
Set up some solar panels.
drop the solar panels, and now you have your forward operating base.
Wow.
Doesn't need to be resupplied.
Now, what's this one from Carnegie Mellon?
This one is the reconfigurable wheel track. So basically,
Wait, that just went from a wheel to a track.
yeah. So that's
And then back.
other cool stuff. So I mean, there's all sorts of. Oh, and the last one, which I think is cool, is the multi-mode extreme travel suspension.
Oh, yeah, from Pratt & Miller. So this has 6 feet of travel,
Yeah.
like up 20 inches, down 42 inches or something. So you
Yeah.
can, I mean, look what it can do.
Right.
Wow. I mean, that takes up a lot of space. So I don't think we're going to be seeing it on any like cars in the near future, but it's
Right.
just a cool thing to have.
Right.
I mean, imagine if you had like a dirt buggy that could do this.
Right. Exactly.
So wait, so what are we seeing here? We're seeing some guys in a sub?
Six men live and sleep in this. A 16-foot by 7-foot closed capsule. Pressure is 19 times higher than it is outside. The men have to eat, rest, and sleep in here for 28 days at a time. Meet crew member Ashley Cooper.
This is the day chamber where we'd normally sit and take our meals and relax. Moving around, we've got our comm system here where we would normally ask for various things that we might need during our day. Tea, coffee, biscuits, those sort of things, general food. Probably one of the most important pieces of kit I could show you is this one. Because we're under pressure in here, there's a set procedure to actually flushing away our waste, because this could be quite a massive loss of gas or personal injury.
But who are these men who live and sleep in such strange conditions? They're saturation divers for an oil services company, fixing pipes and rigs at depths of up to 590 feet. This is one of the most extreme environments in the world. When a diver descends into the sea, the water pressure dramatically compresses the gases, like carbon dioxide, in his blood.
Because the gas is compressed and the deeper you are, the more gas you'll take on board, your body will become more saturated because it'll seep into your soft tissues.
As long as they stay at this incredible 19 times normal pressure, their saturated blood and tissue are fine. But at the end of the working day, if they come to the surface too quickly, the gases would suddenly expand. This causes a condition called the bends. At best, very painful. At worst, deadly. It's just like when you open a bottle of soda.
The gas will be trapped in certain areas of your body. If it's within the nerve system, it may damage that nerve, and which then can lead you on to what used to be called the bends, which is a decompression illness. The only way to decompress is to gradually come back to surface pressure. Working at 180 metres, it's going to take over 6 days to decompress.
Paying a diver for 6 days recovery for just 1 day's work would be costly for the oil business. So they came up with a clever idea. Keep the men at pressure through work, sleep, and play. A pressurized diving bell takes the men up to their pressurized chamber on the support boat, ensuring that the men's bodies never decompress. When the next shift begins, the diving bell simply takes them back down again to work. The chamber on the boat keeps the divers at the same pressure as the seabed, thereby removing the need to decompress every time they finish a shift. This technology can reduce some of the stress on divers' bodies caused by constant changes in pressure.
What saturation diving really is, instead of having a dive on a daily basis, you're saturated at the very beginning of your trip, and then you'll make the decompression right at the very end. Saturation diving is multiple dives and then being decompressed right at the very end.
Okay, so let me just get this straight.
Yeah.
Those guys were not underwater. They were in a above water ship.
Right.
But they were under pressure
Yeah.
that mimicked what it was like, 500 meters down.
Right.
They would take a diving bell down to go to work every day,
Mm-hmm.
but that way they didn't have to go decompress on the way up. They just went back up into their compression chamber.
Right.
And they lived there for 28 days at a time.
Yes.
And their job every day is to go repair oil lines underwater.
Yes. So we found it necessary that as a society, as a civilization, that we need to put people into a pressurized vessel just so that way we can have energy to power our vehicles and other stuff.
I can't imagine, first of all, living in a pressurized little tiny room with 3 other guys for 28 days.
Right.
I can't imagine just living in my bedroom for 28 days.
Right. I mean, like, sure, they can get you, food and coffee and stuff, but, like, you need to use this special toilet that could kill you.
Right.
Every day.
And kill everyone in the place.
Right. And it's in one of the rooms, so you're like, I have to go to the bathroom, guys. Get out of here.
Well, here's my
Go
other
into the
question.
little room.
They had to invent and build this space for those 4 guys. They could have made a bigger space, but as you pointed out, that would have just been more money. So basically they decided, what's the smallest space we can put 4 people and get away with it?
Right. It's insane. It's absolutely
All of the,
insane.
Imagine if I said to you, to have solar power, Jesse,
Right.
we're going to need to do this. You would say right off the bat, then we're not going to do solar
Yeah,
power.
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
Why would we need to pressurize people,
But here's the thing.
send them underwater?
All of you people out there, you've been filling your gas cars for years.
Right.
You've been filling your heating oil tanks for years. Did you know these people existed?
Right, saturation
I didn't-
divers.
I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know that we had to go through all these hoops to make this work.
Right. It's insane. You have to send these humans into some place where they just cannot survive. Basically, they wouldn't be able to come to if anything were to go wrong. Now, I mean, like, I don't want this to happen, but if something were to go wrong,
They can't get-
on the ship, they would all die. They would explode.
And not only that, if something goes wrong underwater, you can't just zip them up to the top of the surface.
Right.
They got to decompress for 6 days.
Right. They have to go into the diving bell, and if the diving bell is damaged, they're in trouble.
This is insane.
It's
I can't
insane.
believe that human beings come up with.
At what point, right? At what point were you, tasked with, okay, well, in order to fix the rig, we're going to need some divers. They're going to need to be working a long time, and if they come home, it'll take 6 days for them to come back to the surface.
Well, and
so we'll
think of they had to do some tests where they're like, how many days can we keep them in there before they go crazy?
Right.
29?
Yeah.
All right, 28.
You must have to have the most relaxed people on the planet.
Yeah, but they also have to be able to do these 2 amazing feats,
Exactly.
dive and weld
Right.
and repair things.
Underwater.
So I don't think,
I know it's
I can't.
Why? Why?
I lose faith in humanity. Like, I understand the ingenuity to make this work, but we could have made so many other better things work with this ingenuity.
Right. Why did you waste your time with this? Like, why do we need to drill underwater when we could just put solar everywhere, use wind energy? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is, thank you for being our patrons. I mean, this is why we do this, is to show you these stories that we, find from around the world about
Right.
what's going on with our planet.
And the other thing is, too, we can't show most of this stuff on our show because we get...
Dinged.
YouTube dings us for using stuff that is not our content.
Right.
We want to show it to you, and there's no real good way to do that on the show.
Right, because
So
if we tried to describe this to you, you wouldn't
Right.
believe
You'd be
us.
like, yeah, okay,
It can't
no
be.
way. And so, yeah, that is why the Patreon bonus stories are the way that they are, because there's stuff that we can't describe.
Right.
We have to show you. And it's just so great that we get to do this every week, have this little time every week.
Yeah, and don't forget about our newsroom, guys. If you are interested in helping us out in the newsroom, we love our Patreons especially.
Mm-hmm.
So if you love to send us stories anyway, let us know on...
And again, it's not just sending us stories. I mean, that's a huge part of
but
it.
we would love editors, people who know how to write, or
writers,
research.
and reporters, field reporters,
Right,
as
videographers,
well.
right.
Go out into the field, record yourself in front of a power plant or solar field or whatever, and
Right.
talk about what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Right.
Really, really interesting. So if you guys are interested,
Send us an email to zach@nowyouknowchannel.com or send us a Facebook message, and we will get you the information you need.
yeah.